Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Wild with me, Jimmy Doherty, and I'm here at Jimmy's Farm and Wildlife Park. And today we're going to be talking about a whole group of animals that started the farm off. Absolutely central to everything we do, and they are our rare breeds. And I'm joined by Jay and Alex, who look after our beautiful rare breeds. So we're not going to talk about our horses today or our cattle. We're going to be talking about our pigs. Love the pigs. Yeah. Still on our logo. Started the whole thing off. Talk about our chickens and our goats and our sheep. Right, so first off, what's your favourite out of all those? You've got to have a favourite.
It's got to be the pigs.
Nah, it's always the sheep.
Always the sheep?
Yeah.
Why the sheep? Because I'm a big lover of pigs. You love the pigs.
Yeah.
And I've never been... don't get me wrong. I was president of the Rare Breed Survivor Trust for many, many years. Sheep are wonderful, but... You can't beat a good pig.
I love pigs, but the sheep just have that attitude that keeps you on your toes. And as much as you hate them when they're misbehaving, you love them at the same time. Right, and they're just a joy when they come barreling up to you.
Let's talk about our sheep then. Okay, so what breeds have we got?
So currently we have our Devonshire close wool sheep, which are one of the only places outside of Devonshire to actually have them on show.
Yep.
Then we got a flock of those, and then we got our Norfolk Horn sheep, which I love the most.
See, the Norfolk Horn is a beautiful looking sheep. It's obviously white fluffy sheep, black face, lovely horns. But that's the predecessor and one of the founding breeds that led to the Suffolk breed. That is the prime animal you find around the world. And that's the thing about a lot of our rare breeds, our traditional rare breeds. Wherever you travel around the world, you often find breeds that originated here in the UK. But so amazing. And so for us here, our sheep produce our lamb, obviously, the meat for the restaurant. They're an educational tool to talk about the importance of rare breeds. They produce wool as well. And you're quite good at shearing, aren't you?
Yes, I do the shearing here.
I'm terrible at shearing. That's one of the reasons I don't like sheep that much, because there's a lot of work involved.
First year I did it was probably the worst year of my life.
That was the worst haircut.
Yeah, for an hour just sweating in heat, tired, and I was like, next year I was like, I'll give it another go. And by the end I was like, why am I doing this?
I've tried it twice. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, no, and it's hard, isn't it? Because you're bent over all the time. And when you go to some of these shearing sheds in New Zealand or Australia, and they're doing thousands and thousands of them, I mean, you've got to really love sheep to be doing that.
Oh yeah, and built like just the muscles on them just to keep going.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I could do our lot, and I'm knackered.
Well, the thing I love about sheep though, and there's a plethora of different breeds. And that's one great thing about the UK. You know, every county tends to have its own breed of sheep, sometimes two or three or more. But they are the bringers of spring. Everyone loves lambs. Yeah. And then I always think Easter time, you always think, daffodils, lambs. But lambing happens way before Easter, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, especially nowadays, a lot of farms are even doing it in the winter. Yeah. Especially arable farms and stuff like that. But it is definitely not spring. Cold nights, cold mornings. Yeah, and then finally when they're out of the shed, that's when it's spring.
Yeah, and also for the lambing is that you're on call. It's basically the maternity ward.
Yeah. It is with them. It can be straightforward.
Yeah.
But it can also be quite difficult as well.
Yes.
And it's one of those, I think a lot of it comes with experience.
Yeah.
It's an education when you talk to people about it. And it's just like, just leave them to it. It's like, no.
No, you can't.
Not like pigs, as we've mentioned.
Well, that's it. I mean, with the sheep, you know, they might have a single, or they have twins or triplets. Yeah. And you've got to, but what's the old saying? It's, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
That's the one.
Yeah. And I think that's true with lambing. Just Definitely. When you think, it's been a great lambing night so far, no problems. Yeah. The worst then happens.
Yeah, it's one of those, just don't say it, because it's bound to happen. If it's going too easy, just don't say, this is easy, because you know it's going to go wrong from then on. So,
and for when it comes to maintaining the sheep, obviously a lot of people think you just put them out to pasture and away they go. There's a lot of work to be done with sheep. And we talked about the shearing. That's important, not only to harvest the wool, and when we sort of this area of East Anglia, all these big churches you see, all that money, all that wealth was created through the wool, but now it's worthless, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing to it. I mean, we and Jay were talking earlier, it's like you don't get what it's worth to actually shear a sheep. It's more an expense.
What is it,
than
like
what
50 pence a fleece or
Something like
less than that?
That's good. Some fleeces go under that. So if in the bag you got one black fleece, they will downgrade it to like 9 pence.
So
the
whole
bag.
thing goes down to 9 pence.
Yeah.
For a whole fleece, just taken off the animal.
Off the animal, and if you accidentally throw it in with a load of white fleeces, the wool merchant will downgrade everything to 9p.
And we're talking about a product that could be turned into so many things, not socks and jumpers. I've seen, and they make great socks, jumpers, rugs, carpets, but also in New Zealand, they're turning them into surfboards. They're turning them into real high quality garments. And of course, it's environmentally friendly. Yep. It's not like polyester and all these things that are plastic based or oil based. This is biodegradable. Yep. Actually, the fleece sucks in carbon. It's a holder of carbon. And you can always bury the fleece and it breaks down and releases nitrogen. So why we don't use wool more is beyond me.
It's like we're only just starting to get products where like you can actually have that out in vineyards to like lay down, keep the roots warm, cut down herbicides, and just everyone. It's just chucked even in people's gardens during winter, put them on your veg beds and stuff like that. But it's still just the amount is just thrown away. It's
crazy. We need to really engage more with wool and woolen products. The sheep is an amazing animal in terms of, when you've got permanent pasture, that's really good for biodiversity, creates habitat, and then we're getting meat from the sheep, and then it's producing wool as well, which is a fantastic product. So I think, even though they're as unpredictable as anything, sheep, but they are fantastic, and the breeds are just incredible.
Such a variety of them.
Absolutely. And kids love it when the lambs are out. Yeah. When you see them in the sunshine. Yeah.
I think everyone loves the baby lamb. Like,
it's that springtime thing. It is, you see a lamb and it's like, spring's in the air. Yeah. Like you say, daffodils are coming out.
And they all start playing around when you get gangs of them.
Yes.
Yeah, they charge about and then, you just see a whole group of them charge about, be like, or they just suddenly get like, they just stand there and like jump up in the air and like, oh God.
So the sheep, wonderful. Goats. Now, I think goats they're very difficult because for me, they've got no respect for authority whatsoever.
Or fences. Or anything.
Where sheep, you can sort of control them, shake a bucket or all that. They seem to be a bit more, they understand the parameters of what you want them to do. I think goats, on the other hand, are they're like a load of bikers that are going to turn up and misbehave. When we had sheep here, when it was just a working farm, and all the sheep would go out. I go, why are the sheep going out? It's like, it's the 3 goats that are going.
They've led them out.
Look, there's a hole over here. The sheep go, what hole? They're through here. And it's always been the goats that are causing trouble. We've got certain breeds of goats.
Yes.
Are they as naughty as I think they are?
To be fair, ours, and I don't know whether it's down to they were being bred and how they're bred, they're pretty good. I'll probably curse that, as we were saying earlier.
Yeah.
It's probably curse that now, they'll be all up when we get back at the fox.
They'll be up the road.
They're pretty good. They can be challenging. They're more inquisitive than sheep and more destructive than sheep. Yeah. Hence, they'll always test something. You see the videos where they've tested a fence, they'll go and try it again 5 minutes later because they think, it might be off now. And it's like, they're very much like that. Ours are mostly well-behaved.
And we've got some interesting breeds, haven't we?
Yes, we've got the Golden Guernsey, got the Baggots, obviously got Pygmies, and the Boer goats as well. So we've got, I think that's all of them.
And we've got Old English goats as well?
Old English as well.
So we've got English goats, not Old English.
Okay.
So
you've got to be very careful about these names as well.
Very, very
You've got to get them right. Get very upset.
But yeah, we're just about to start this year breeding our English goats.
Great.
And so quite excited to see baby ones of them because they're my favourite goats out of all the bunch.
So, because we've got the traditional breeds, British breeds of goats, and then we've got the pygmy goats, which are an African species. Yes. Same with the sheep as well, because we've got British breeds of sheep, but we've got some African breeds of sheep, haven't we?
Yeah, so these Somalis and Cameroons.
Yeah.
Very different.
Very different. And because often people think they're goats, don't they?
Yeah.
One of the big questions we get, what's the big difference between goats and sheep? How's the layman person sort of go, right, that's a sheep, that's a goat?
It's pretty much, layman in England is pretty much the wool.
Yeah.
But I think definitely it's the kind of eaters Like sheep are very much
because sheep are grazers,
sometimes browsers, depending upon your breed.
But on the whole, so you would say sheep are grazers, goats are browsers.
Yeah, they don't like to really. If you put them in a paddock, they won't really graze down the grass. But any tree in there, they will decimate.
They climb and eat and everything. Yeah. And then goats tend to have a fur rather than wool.
Yeah,
so they have hair.
Yeah, not waterproof like our sheep are, so they need a lot of cover, hence why they seem to be more browser eaters, want that cover a lot more.
Yeah, and goats have the little tail that sticks up, where sheep will have a longer tail, won't they?
Yeah, that nice long tail that you normally see that some breeds still keep, because they can hold it up.
Yeah, but one obeys the rules and one doesn't.
Yes. Well, I think they disobey the rules to different degrees.
Yeah, I don't agree with you at all.
So I think goats are worse than others.
Yeah, but there's something quite charming about goats, and I think particularly with their youngsters when they have kids. Young goats are so playful. But they like to nibble everything, don't they? So when they're with you, they're on your shoelaces or on your earlobes, on your hair.
Or they suddenly jump up in places, like on top of houses.
Yes. Well, they love to climb, don't they, goats? I mean, that is the thing. So you think about goats that you see in the countryside of Australia, those feral goats, or you go to Kenya and there's goats up the trees.
Yeah,
just
like
climb up the trees.
faces, and they're just like all at home.
Yes, I mean that is mad, isn't it?
As you can see, our ones like the hayrick's a bit too close to the fence. You're like, maybe I'll pull that away because they jump on top of that. They jump on top of the houses. Yeah. They're just all at home.
And our traditional breeds of goats now are used for conservation grazing, like the baggots and things like that. But traditionally would have predominantly been milk. Where our sheep would have really been meat and wool, but the goats were good providers of milk. And we see some great goat's cheeses now in the UK. It's a shame that we don't drink more goat's milk and eat more goat's cheese.
Yeah, I think it's the same with sheep as well. We just don't use the products out there, whereas you go even into Europe, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really embrace every part of the animal, whereas we seem to be quite, cheese is just from a cow or milk, whereas I love goat's cheese.
Yeah, it is incredible. I love goat's cheese, and I think even other products they make from it, but goat's milk itself I think is delicious. And goat as well as a meat, we don't really eat it in the UK, but you go to other countries and goat is one of the most commonly eaten meats.
Yeah, it's such a shame we just don't have that respect for. We have all these different meats out there and we don't use it.
Yeah.
And why not? These guys literally can live in places that even our sheep can't.
And do you know what I think is really important with all this? What we're talking about we're talking earlier about the farm animals we have here, and a lot of conversations I have with other rangers, all about polar bears or capybaras or whatever it is. It's so important that we embrace farming because for me, when we talk about conservation and protecting biodiversity, it is about farming, because the vast majority of landscapes out there are farmed and have been managed to produce our food. And I think farmers are the ones that are going to change this biodiversity crisis. And it's how we grow our food, how we rear it, that's going to change that. And I think a lot of these traditional breeds have a big role to play. Not only preserving the genetic diversity of them per se, but also in the farming methods that they really suit, that sort of low intensity, free range kind of system.
Yeah, they play a part in it, and I don't think people realise how much, depending on what you are, and especially where you are in the UK, as to which breeds they were bred for that type of ground. Yeah. So when we look at our Devon sheep, they were bred for that ground, the Suffolk sheep, because of Suffolk, and it's obviously not very original with some of the namings, but it's a case they were bred for a purpose to deal with that sort of land. Yeah. So the further north you go, you've got hardier sheep because it's naturally colder than the likes of Suffolk and things, and it's just like you don't realise how much they had an impact on the area as a whole. It's
so fun, isn't it, when everyone just thinks, it's a white fluffy sheep, but actually no, it's been a process of trial and error over hundreds of years, and a survival of the fittest, that ones that are selected, it's artificial selection, but the ones that are selected out to carry on. And over time, they've been developed into these very distinct breeds that fit that purpose.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, it's like, I know the Suffolk sheep isn't one of the rare ones, but it's a case of how far they've spread across the whole world, essentially, like New Zealand, because it suits that climate, it suits their conditions. And a lot of them do the same. And it's a case of if it fits in, it works. You've got a thicker woolly coat for colder climate, and
there you
better
go.
wool, and there you go.
So we've talked about the sheep, the goats. Now let's talk about one of the most important animals here at the farm that really started it all, the pigs. Now I love pigs because there is something that's slightly disruptive. There's always something different happening. They're calming in other ways, like when you're just with a sow and you're talking to a sow and she's talking back. And then you have these mad piglets that just go everywhere. What breeds have we got? Because we've got a really good selection of pigs here.
Yeah, so currently we got 6 breeds of pig on site. So we got our saddlebacks, those beautiful black and white ones.
Yeah.
The Oxford Sandhian Blacks, very popular these days.
Yeah.
Then we've also got our middle whites, which I think are amazing because they're squashed faces. Then we've got our Gloucestershire Old Spots with a great backstory.
Yeah.
Large Blacks, the Suffolk breed of pig,
Yeah.
and one of the oldest breeds of pig, which is the Tamworth we've just got in.
Oh, I love Tamworths.
Which we're very excited to start breeding those because.
The variety of pigs that we have. We've lost a lot of breeds as well, unfortunately, over the years. But when you go to places like Italy, every little region will have its own variety of courgette, for example, and they're really proud of it. Yeah, we've got all these amazing varieties of pigs for different regions, and we should be really proud of them. But when we look at something like the saddleback, I mean, that was a breed that was created through 2 different breeds. You had the Wessex saddleback and the Essex pig. And their journey here was quite interesting, is the fact that, I mean, they're remarkable pigs, black and white, really stand out. But those breeds were originated from Europe and were brought over as almost like living larders. And when the ships arrived down in sort of the West Country or in the ports around Essex, the pigs that were still alive, they would sell to the other farmers. And so they've all originally just started off in these little ports and then spread out. And I think it's incredible. I went to this wonderful church in Italy, and they've got a pig called the Cinta Senesi, a very old breed of pig, and it's basically the saddleback. And you could see that heritage and the journey they've made. And I'm obviously very fond of them because it's the pig I started with. Yeah. So beautiful pig, black and white, good all rounder, good for bacon, and also good for fresh pork. Then we've got the large black, which is the coolest pig, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they're just big and massive, and our boy was the largest boy we had here, and you could see it.
Yeah,
and it's amazing their story from coming all the way from the only large black pig in England.
Yeah,
and that journey is all the way from Asia.
Yeah, incredible. And you think of that skin color, so they don't get sunburn. And the thing about the large black, they've got a very long body, but they've got these incredibly large ears, which I just think act like sunglasses because it keeps the sun out their eyes.
Yeah, you don't see a face, you just see the ears.
Massive
ears with a nose poking out of it.
Yeah, and you do get a distinct difference in pigs. You get the pricked-eared pigs and you get the lopped-eared pigs, don't you? So the saddleback has those similar ears, but large black has great big ears like that. Then we've got our Oxford Sandy Blacks. I mean, they're an interesting breed. Very, very popular now. Describe their coloration because they're quite beautiful.
So, do we get one?
Yeah, I can go colour. So, this is where we were having a talk earlier about colourings on namings, especially with the pigs. It's like, I don't find them very imaginative, which is the funny part. It's like, oh, it's a black pig. Oh, we'll call it a large black. Oh, it's a saddleback because it looks like it's got a saddle on its back. And it's like, it's Oxford Sandy and black. It's sandy with black spots. It's like imaginative, but they're very deep. If you describe it, almost like a chestnut colour.
Yes,
it's probably as far as we'll go, and obviously with the black spots. But they get different. I mean, it's called sandy, but it's a case of, I think it's various shades of it because you can get the lighter version, which are almost blondish, if I can use that, and then they go all the way through, say, to like dark chestnut.
And they're a really good pig. I mean, they're all great pigs, but if you're thinking of getting pigs to start off in the small weight, like saddlebacks, Oxford Sandhian Blacks are really good, aren't they? They're just a good all-rounder.
They're a good all-rounder. They're fairly hardy. They'll pretty much survive anywhere.
Yeah.
And like you say, the meat off them's good as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got one little set of piglets. They're actually the most well-behaved ones there on the farm at the moment. They're the only ones that have stayed in their own pen.
Well, I'd see. That's what I remember is that pigs I'd set all these amazing pens up, and of course, they'd all just go up together under the electric, join into one big massive gang. And when I had all the pigs up the top there, where the monkeys are, and I had my lovely veg garden, and I'd got it all done perfectly. And then I'd sit there and I'd say, what's all that long grass moving? And all of a sudden, out of the long grass popped about 25, 30 piglets from different litters, the different breeds, just raiding the garden. And I remember shouting and whistling, and they all went, ugh! Leg it, and they'll run back home again.
Yeah, they're almost cheeky. They're almost cheeky because they push and push and push and push. It's like a teenager.
They are incredibly cheeky. Right. So, who's next? We've got the large black, also Sandhill black, Gloucestershire old spots, beautiful.
Yeah.
And the story of the Gloucestershire.
Yeah, so they say, like, because they've obviously got black spots all over them, and they were originally an orchard pig, so completely different environments, originally than a lot of the other pigs.
Taking all the windfalls off the ground, that's the idea.
Exactly, use up all that space. They used to say that the fruit that fell from the trees would bruise them and their children.
So that's why they get the black spots on their thing. And I love those stories. It's a great way, isn't it?
It's great because you also tell which ones are apart. So like one's just got almost like two black eyes, and one's got a massive spot on its bum.
But I love that you almost imagine apples hitting them on the back. Obviously, it's not really the case, but I love it because it ties it into that environment of you'd have a pig to clear up the orchard. It wasn't predominantly you'd have a pig for meat. It was always what was ever left over in the farming system, be it spent grain, whatever. You would put it into your piggy bank, and you'd recycle everything.
Yeah. Well, they clean up. They're brilliant at cleaning up, like say, whether it's a garden,
foraging in the woods,
everything. They'll just clear through it. Brilliant for allotments, apparently.
Yeah. Well, great for allotments if you're not growing anything.
Well, unless you're growing things. Yeah.
So there are pigs. Of course, we can't finish without mentioning the Tamworth, because the Tamworth is obviously from the Midlands. The coloration, ginger pig, but when the light hits it, it turns into a golden sheen. It's just a glorious pig, another prick-eared pig. And of course, that's then followed by the middle white. So there was a small white, a middle white, and a large white. We've still got the large white. The small white is now extinct. The middle white is a beautiful pig. Some people call it ugly.
I say the girls are beautiful, the babies are beautiful, the boys are the ugliest things on the planet. The faces only a mother could love. I love our boy Fraser, but he is...
They've got a big turned up nose, haven't they? Quite a big old mouth on them.
But the girls always love them.
I think basically, if you turned Yoda into a pig, that's what a middle white boar looks like. But I think they're handsome. But we've got beautiful pigs. And I think the important thing is when people come and visit us here, it's not only about it's just a pig or it's just a sheep or it's just a goat. No, each animal tells a story. And also it's when people say, well, these are rare breeds, are they just a museum piece? Do they have future in terms of agriculture today? And I think, yes, they do, because you never know what the future holds for farming. And locked away in these animals is a whole genetic bank that we can't afford to lose.
Yeah. All those different traits from each one that do better in one place, better than the other.
Yeah.
And it'd be awful to lose that just to have just the commercial breeds that are good at just one thing.
And we talk about biodiversity in the wildlife part. We talk about preserving wild animals and how important it is to preserve habitats. It's the same with our food. We need the different variety of vegetables, not just broccoli and cabbage. No, how many different varieties of different broccoli have we got? We need that, just like our animals. Let's talk about chickens.
Yes.
Now, a chicken's just not a chicken, is it? We have quite a unique breed of chicken here, don't we?
Yeah, so we had two breeds. We had the Buff Orpington, which is beautiful,
Orange can I stop you about the Buff Orpington, right? Because I think the Buff Orpington, right, is one of these things. It looks incredible. It looks like it's going to be a heavyweight chicken. All these beautiful feathers. It's a real dandy of a chicken.
And it's nothing to it.
Pick it up. It's like,
it is all feathered. That's the problem. You pick them up and your hands disappear.
Where is it? But they look pretty.
Yes.
But we've got the chicken of Suffolk, haven't we?
Yes, we have the Ixworth chicken, which is incredible that we have it still because it went extinct.
Yeah.
In the 50s because of commercial farming. They were meant to be the big farm breed, but because of hybrid broilers, went extinct for 20 years, and thankfully...
There's a few breeders around that still had a few.
Yes, I think we're now up to about 20 breeders and about 4 different main collections that are exhibiting them at the moment.
Well, it's really important, chicken diversity for me, genetic diversity, because if you think about it, I think there's 2 companies that control all of the chicken genetics commercially. So when we talk about our egg-producing birds and our meat-producing birds, they're owned by large companies, and they are, looked after in terms of who gets to breed them, who owns that genetics, and all the rest disappear. And when you think you've got bird flu on our doorstep, having that genetic diversity is so important. But I love Ixworths. I've got them at home. My daughters took the chicks from here, and now I've got a whole heap of them at home. But it's lovely to see them in the morning, those beautiful white birds. They've got a tight little comb, haven't they?
Yeah.
And on a Suffolk morning, the Suffolk chicken walking around.
I think the boys are the best because they're big and big, impressive-looking things, but not ostentatious.
No one likes an ostentatious chicken. There's enough of them. And what do people really love about the rare breeds? Because it's such a popular area, isn't it? When they go to the rare breed farm, they've come through, seen so many amazing animals, but it's still the beating heart.
Piglets.
Yeah.
It's got to be the piglets up there. 'Cause everyone, if you're walking through, they'll ask how old they are, where's mum, where's dad, which one's which, have you named them all? That's the biggest one. We can't name them all because there's too many of them. We run out of names, I think.
Yeah.
But it's definitely they go up there. It's like, got any piglets? It's like, yes, we've always got piglets.
The piglets are just so beautiful. And when they are sort of like 3 weeks old, they're really getting to know their characters. You see the little fights break out between who's boss and all that kind of stuff. They're brilliant to watch. It's so lovely when people still see us as a farm. Yeah. Because Jimmy's Farm and Wildlife Park, we started as a farm. Being a farm is really important to us, and those animals are the star of that. Now, are you guys ready for some questions?
Yes.
Right. So, first one. What was the first and the latest rare breed on the farm?
So obviously it was a Saddleback, like you said, and recently we have got a young Tamworth sow called Tanya.
What I love, it started with the pig and it finished with the pig.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is from Harriet. What is the rarest breed you have?
That's the Ixworth chicken, I believe. Is it now?
Yeah, for the ones we've been talking about, definitely the Ixworth chickens.
Ixworth, come on. Right, Brandon wants to know, how long have you had pigs for? Well, I can answer that. For 22, 23 years, I think.
We did say 22 years earlier. We got that.
There we go. How many different rare breeds do you have?
So it's, we have to do this for groups. 3 breeds of sheep, 2 breeds of cow, 2 breeds of chickens, 2 different breeds of geese, and then 6 breeds of pig. And then one of horse.
16, 17, is it?
Something like that.
17.
There we are. 17. How early in the morning do you have to start working on the farm? That's from Gracie.
Well, we're very lucky.
We're lucky. It's 8 o'clock. We're not a dairy farm, so it's not 4 o'clock in the morning, but essentially we start at 8 and get up there.
Okay, yeah, because we come under our zoo license, everyone has to come in at the same sort of time.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Apart from when it's sort of lambing and that's like an all-night thing.
Yeah, you're overnight. Do you name your pigs and piglets? That's from Poppy.
So our boars and sows have all got names, but there's too many piglets.
Yes.
And not enough time in the day to name them all.
And it's always the breeding animals that tend to get the names, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alfie wants to know, this is interesting, what do you use your sheep's wool for?
So, like we said, it's not worth anything, but money-wise, but use-wise, animals love it. The wolves love smelling it. It makes great enrichment for everything, even animals you wouldn't think of. Plus, also on top of that, we can use it in the veg gardens.
Yes, so the gardeners use it for suppressing weeds. We can give it to the raccoons, the meerkats, the wolves, the bears. They like to play with it. And of course, when it's left out, the birds come and take it all.
Yeah, they use
it. For nests. Okay, what makes all breeds of pig unique, Ella?
All their patterns, all their...
Yeah, they're all unique individuals. The different breeds, again, it comes down to the naming. You sort of know which one's which once you've figured it out, and you can tell. So.
Tom wants to know, what's the funniest and most challenging thing you've experienced on the farm?
So the funniest one, I'd only been here a couple of months and we were rounding some of the pigs up to move them. And one of the keepers, Will, was helping. And I actually think it was one of the large blacks ran underneath him and literally, because he was just high enough, literally ran off with Will on his back. It was like a rodeo across the paddock and I haven't forgot it.
Oh dear.
So that was quite amusing.
Okay, last one here. So, has working on the farm changed the way you view farming and the food industry? And that's from Harry.
Well, for me, I came from a zoo background, and I won't lie, I sort of thought, oh, the zoo's the pinnacle of it. Farming can't be that difficult. And going through it, I thought, oh my god, like the people that do it, any part, whether it's livestock, arable, it's so hard.
Every day is a
so
challenge.
rewarding.
Every day is different.
Yeah.
There's always something, regardless of what you're doing, something will be happening or something will be changing.
Well, there's always the next challenge.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's an amazing way through food production how we are linked to nature.
Yeah.
Where going to the supermarket, you don't always feel that connection to nature.
No.
But when you're farming, producing food, you're then connected to nature, and then you understand about the natural world and why it's so important, and why it's so important to preserve it.
The biggest thing is, especially with children, when you come round, obviously most of them will eat bacon, have eaten sausages, things like that. I still get it, and this is from previous roles and things, people who've never actually seen a farm animal, never mind a wild animal, and they've not seen him, and then you're sort of helping them understand this food cycle is the big one. And yes, obviously we know we've got vegans, things like that, which is fine. It's a case of understanding where that food comes from, how it's reared, what's been put into that pig or sheep or whatever, and then where it goes from there, and understanding that food chain. And again, the biodiversity, the carbon neutral side of it, how it comes back to us for us to sell in the farm shop or the restaurant, and it's on site. We've not had to buy it in from anywhere, and it's that whole process.
Do you know what? You're bang on there. Jay, Alex, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and tune in next time for more Talking Wild.